My name is Hannah Sturgis, and I'm doing a presentation on latchkey children. A latchkey child is a child who returns from school to an empty home because their parents are at work, or a child who is often left with very little parental supervision. The effects of being a latchkey differ depending on the age of the child. Some of the main effects that come from being a latchkey child is boredom, loneliness, and fear. And usually these effects come from ages 3 to 10, and then there are more effects, like more major ones, that come from ages 11 to 13, such as sexual activity, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, peer pressure, and smoking. It is important for teachers and school districts to provide opportunities for these students to be involved in extracurricular activities of some sort, whether it be at the school or through the community. Although this is important, teachers must be careful to make sure that they do not overload these students to a point where they are unable to complete homework and fulfill other obligations that may be asked of them. Which, a good thing is that these programs allow you to have time to do your homework. Although there are more fun things to do also, they encourage you to do your homework while you're there. Statistics of the latchkey children have dropped due to these after-school programs, which is a major accomplishment. According to census data in 2011, over 4 million children were left without supervision for more than 6 hours every week on average. After-school program legislation passed in 1998, which is when the number of latchkey children began to drop. Unfortunately, statistics do prove that because of certain things happening, those statistics keep dropping and then rising depending on the effects at the moment. The percentage of children from single-parent families going home alone dropped from 24% to 14%, and the percentage of children from married couples with both employed dropped from about 20% to 15%, which is huge. Although the problem of latchkey children has been around for quite a while, it was never much of a problem until about the 2000s, really. And in the 1980s, it was very normal for parents to leave their children home alone without much fear, peer pressure, or any other effects. Today, though, you could get arrested for leaving your children home alone, depending on the laws around your state. And there are a lot of other factors that are to blame about the effects of latchkey children. In years past, there wasn't much worry of children being harmed in any way by anyone, and today that's a huge fear factor. You see, used to, they never had to worry about crimes happening or occurring around their houses, and today there's crimes everywhere, and your children are just not safe at home by themselves. An interesting historical fact that I found was that the word latchkey, it was coined to describe children who wore house keys to school or brought them to school so that they could let themselves into their house when they returned home from school. This word originated around 1940 when women had to work because of the fact that their husbands were deployed. And there's also a book that was co-written by Thomas and Lynette Long called The Handbook for Latchkey Children and Their Parents. The book described the history of children who would hide in closets while waiting for their parents to return home from work. And that's not all the book described, but that was just an interesting point, because the students would hide since they were scared. They were so little, they would be scared, so they would just hide and wait for their parents to return. There's more data in today's society than there is in history because of the fact that latchkey children were not at as much of a risk as they are today. So it's hard to find statistics on the things that occurred to latchkey children in the past, because it just wasn't, latchkey children were not really considered latchkey children because it was normal to leave your kids at home. The current status, because of the high rate of latchkey children, there are few latchkey programs available for children, and these programs are designed to help to enhance the child's physical, cognitive, social, and emotional development. And the activities that these programs arrange are usually fun and educational all at the same time. Some of the times of the programs, and not all states or counties or cities, not all of them have these programs, but the ones that do, these are very beneficial, and they begin usually before school from about 6 a.m. until school starts, and then after school until about 6 p.m., depending on where it is. And some schools even have midday programs, which are not very popular, but a few schools still have the midday programs. Teachers and school districts in most states are trying their best to continue the programs before and after school, but despite teachers' best efforts, a lot of the programs are being cut. or being discontinued due to the fact that their funding has been cut, which is a major disadvantage to these latchkey children because these programs really do help them. And in a minute, there'll be a slide that shows you how beneficial these programs are. And teachers have been striving and trying their best to keep these programs going, but without the funding, it's just hard to keep them going. And it really is, even though they've done their best. Although the numbers of latchkey children had began to decrease because of this funding cut, the number is on the rise again. And I did mention that the statistics are varying; they're going up and down, and this is one of the reasons because of the funding cut. The National Educational Longitudinal Study has proven that the time that children spend watching television is in direct correlation with hours of self-care. The after-school programs have enhanced this problem by providing extra homework support, which is really good. They encourage you to do your homework while you're there, and that helps your grades. It helps you're just more involved in the school when your grades look better and you're able to do your homework. You're learning more, and you're more motivated once you see a positive result. Currently, the number of employed mothers in this country is on the rise, meaning that the number of latchkey children will increase due to the fact that if the mothers are employed, more than likely, if there's a father present, they are employed too, meaning that the latchkey children will rise. Teachers and school districts continue to do their best, but like I said, if the funding continues to get cut, there's only so much that they can do. And there's arguments that say that these latchkey children should be allowed to just stay at home, and then there's people that argue and say that we definitely need these programs that are helping the situations. And depending on the ages, that's what people are arguing. For younger ages, 3 through 10, definitely the programs, but when they get a little bit older, people are arguing the fact that these people are old enough to stay at home by themselves, and when in reality, they're really not. The importance of and the benefits for latchkey children, like I mentioned, I was going to say, it gives the parents a peace of mind that children are safe. Not only the parents, but the teachers. The teachers grow to love these children as they teach them, and so obviously they have a peace of mind that these children are safe. They also have a healthier lifestyle for the children because they're being active. These programs are fun. They have activities. The students have better grades, a decrease in the chances of being involved in a crime. They have a better opportunity to make friends and build relationships. And the programs usually operate in the school, meaning no worries about transportation. It's also very important for these programs to continue. And legal issues continue to be an important concern depending on the ages of the students and the children. There's no specific law in the United States that specifies an age that children can be legally left without supervision, but some states do have specific age restrictions. So it's very important to know the state's limits and their laws on the age restrictions for these latchkey children, because they can be affected and parents can be arrested because of this if they're breaking the law. So this is my bibliography, and then I'm going to take you to a site that actually shows you where I got majority of my information, and it was called study.com, and it had all the information that I needed to provide, and it was very helpful. You see, it shows the statistics and the effects. It showed everything that I needed to be able to make this project successful.